That is I'm guessing a Jonathan Vilma jersey.
Not entirely sure how you
From a
knew
little
that.
From a little bit back in the day.
That is actually accurate.
Vilma's the Stones. That's how I knew. Not even a Jets fan.
That's impressive. I got to give it to you. Jim likes his New York sports teams. Big fan of the New York Rangers. He's a big fan of the New York Rangers. He likes hockey, though, quite a bit.
Big hockey fan, yeah.
It's good to see that he's wearing a jersey of a real sport. That's what I like the most.
Hockey is definitely a real sport.
Is that what you call that?
Yeah, for sure. Playoff hockey is the best playoff of any sport.
Easy.
It's true.
Easy.
Regular season hockey, could take it or leave it. Playoff hockey, that is the best playoffs of any sport.
Maybe they should try that hard all the time then.
Just saying, the intensity of the crowd's insane. It's a physical game, but it doesn't appear that people are being killed while they're playing it. So
that's a welcome change.
In contrast to certain other games, you can feel a little bit better about doing it.
That's true. A Death Right Shaman will begin things. Jim searching up a tropical island off of a scalding tarn as Briksza will take his turn. Wasteland's going to go after that land right away.
That's a very aggressive use of Wasteland against an opponent who has led with Death Right Shaman. I mean, typically you don't want to be Wastelanding when you're behind on mana. And Rudy way behind now with the Death Right Shaman. Although if Jim does not have land number 2, which appears to be the case, pretty solid play.
It's a touch awkward then. There goes the Trop. Here's a Delver. And just a passing of the turn, so Briksza will draw. Baleful Strix is what he's picked up. Underground Sea and just a passing of the turn. We'll head back Davis's way. Time to check with Delver. It's an interesting situation here where if Delver flips, you're happy, but you're sad.
Yeah. The worst case scenario here is a creature.
Yeah, Tarmogoyf would be a horrible Trop. Yeah. Abrupt Decay does allow Delver Secrets to flip into Insectile Aberration, but that means that Jim is not drawing a land. We'll see where he's going to move now. He's going to get in the red zone with both of his creatures.
Not a lot else to be done.
Yep. Just going to draw. It's a copy of Abrupt Decay. Here's a Forest. And Decay is going to go after the Death Right Shaman. So now life getting very difficult for Jim.
Yeah, he's on the full mana screw plan now.
Jim will draw a copy of Force of Will. In for 3 comes the Delver. And all Jim can do is pass the turn back. Thoughtseize the draw. And here is Thoughtseize. See if Jim wants the Force of Will here or not. He does have a Daze as a blue card to remove.
And the best card in his hand at this point, perhaps, is Disfigure, because that gives him the hope of answering some sort of follow-up from Rudy's side of the table. But I think it's just a little bit too weak to Force of Will here, especially when you don't even have a land in play. There's no guarantee that you're disfiguring next turn.
Disfigure typically a sideboard card in these Sultai decks, but Jim actually starting 2 of them. I imagine they've been pretty good for him, given what the metagame has looked like. A lot of Elves, a lot of Sultai Delver, a lot of Death and Taxes. Disfigure going to bite the dust. See Jim's hand, 2 Tarmogoyfs, Dark Confidant, Daze, Abrupt Decay, and Force of Will. Polluted Delta will be sacrificed very quickly.
But Rudy's hand pretty land heavy. Not all doom and gloom right now.
He'll get a Bayou.
If he can string a couple lands together, he's definitely got better resources left in his hand.
And just pass the turn back. There's an attack for 3. Abrupt Decay will take care of the Delver. Jim has not found a land yet. All he can do is pass that turn back. Of course, Abrupt Decay can't be countered. So here's Baleful Strix. Time to go in the card advantage plan. Strix is going to resolve, take a draw, Creeping Tar Pit. Tar Pit will come into play. We'll go back Jim's way. Jim with a Flooded Strand.
A starting point. Still, Jim's hand inundated with 2 mana spells that matter. But again, still got Force of Will, plus blue card. Can stop this Chase the Mind Sculptor. He draws another land, look at his hand. A bunch of Tarmogoyfs, a bunch of Dark Confidants.
A bunch of good cards.
Yeah.
Right now, it's about stringing back-to-back lands as here comes the Baleful Strix. Dave's going to go down to 18. Deathrite Shaman.
And because Rudy knew about Force of Will plus blue card, he can't really stick Jace. I think that I would have preferred to just hit with the Creeping Tar Pit here as well.
Deathrite Shaman the draw here for Jim. So now we could have a little bit of a Deathrite Shaman standoff. As Davis will sacrifice Flooded Strand. We'll see what landing wants to search up here between Underground Sea and Tropical Island. And then I imagine we'll see a Deathrite Shaman join the table.
Yeah, Jim with no copies of Bayou in his list, which actually would be the land I think he would prefer to get if he could, as it turns out both Tarmogoyf and Dark Confidant, rather, regardless of what land's drawn, but Jim on all islands and wastelands plus fetch lands.
Well, Tropical Island is the weapon of choice. There's the Deathrite Shaman and a passing of the turn back to Rudy. Abrupt Decay, rather timely there for Briksza. Now here comes the Tar Pit, along with the Strix, maybe, yes. Delta will be sacrificed. There is a Deathrite Shaman activation. Now there's Decay to take care of the Deathrite Shaman. Tropical Island off the top. A little awkward there for Jim, though he does get to deploy a Tarmogoyf. Toxic Deluge is the draw. Here's a Brainstorm. 3 cards coming. 2 will go back. Him to Torak among the options.
Now Charlotte's Agent to set up here as well. Probably does not want Toxic Deluge in this spot.
And there's a hint. Might just be the time to Force of Will, removing the days.
Not sure. It's sort of like Jim's hand's so inundated with action that I'm not sure how much to him matters. It either gets Force of Will or it gets some extraneous creatures. The only real disaster here is if he hits... I guess there's only one Tarmogoyf left in the hand either, so you don't have to worry about both Goyfs getting hit. I guess it's pretty bad if the Tarmogoyf gets hit. But I think on the balance, it's probably best to just let this resolve.
It's pretty close. Oddly enough, Rudy is pretty low. Is it 9?
Yeah, he took a lot of hits early on. I mean,
Yeah.
Jim got off to a pretty aggressive start.
All right, Jim's gonna let it go. So see how it shakes out here. Him always scary. 2 cards. Which is gonna go? Decay and Bob.
So Jim still gets to keep Force plus blue card plus the Tarmogoyf in his hand. So this is pretty good.
Deathrite Shaman will allow Rudy to cast a Shardless Agent. He's got a Tarmogoyf now. Maybe. Both those cards, of course, on the stack. More often than not, we just see the Cascade card resolve and then Shardless Agent resolve. But Jim does have Force of Will, and he has Daze. So Daze is going to take care of the Tarmogoyf. Shardless Agent's going to resolve.
And if Jim draws a blue card next turn, he gets to have Force of Will for the Jace. He gets to play a second Tarmogoyf. I mean, we got, as bad as all this is gone, we've got a game.
We have a game of Magic. Tarmogoyf's going to trade Baleful Strix, pass the turn back. Briksza very quickly draws a card. Liliana the Veil. He'll cast it. Jim will force it, removing Stifle. Land and a Jace. We probably don't have a game anymore.
Yep. That was the last Haymaker.
Yep. Those 2 Planeswalkers, very powerful. Going to unsummon Tarmogoyf, allow Shardless Agent to come into the red zone. And Jace is going to try to run away with it. Ponder is where Jim's going to start, however. An Underground Sea, a Dark Confidant, and a Wasteland. Tarmogoyf and pass it. Bounce it. Fire up the Tar Pit. Get in for 5. Davis down to 7. Past that turn back. And Jim knows he can't beat the tar pit, so we're moving along here. As Rudy Briksza does win game number 1 here over Jim Davis. Charlotte Solti will take care of Solti Delver. A little frustration here from Jim. You don't see it very often.
There's a little salty look on that man's face.
Yeah.
A little bit of salt.
Don't think he was in love with the wasteland on the early stages of the game there from Rudy.
A gutsy play that turned out to be quite potent given how Jim's hand shook out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Just on the one-lander.
Well, we're going to go to the sideboards here, and we will start with Davis. A Maelstrom Pulse, an Abrupt Decay, 2 Thought Seizes, a Grafdigger's Cage, a Force of Will, a Flusterstorm, a Vendilion Click, 2 Diverts. We saw those earlier yesterday from Jim. They were quite good, along with a Pivot Needle, Surgical Extraction, a Murderous Cut, and 2 Marsh Casualties.
So settle in for a longer game, because both these players have a lot more removal post-board. They're probably going to ditch stuff like Force of Will and become just quality threats and removal. So you're going to see the Abrupt Decay, the Maelstrom Pulse, the Murderous Cut, the Vendilion Click. Would not surprise me to see the 2 Thoughtseize come in, and I think you can bring in the 2 Diverts here as well against a deck that's packing Hymn to Torak, Thoughtseize, and Abrupt Decay.
On the other side here for Rudy, we've seen his sideboard over the past couple of rounds, but what's he got to remind people?
A Force of Will, a Vendilion Click, a Thoughtseize, a Disfigure, 2 copies of Grafdigger's Cage, an Umazaya's Jite, a Pithy Needle, a Baleful Strix, a Pernicious Deed, 2 Golgari Charms, a Maelstrom Pulse, 2 Nile Spellbombs. Jim's deck is pretty graveyard-centric, so I like the Nile Spellbombs here. I think the Pernicious Deed is fine. The Baleful Strix is quite good. I think Rudy can bring in his own copy of Vendilion Click, and Umazaya's Jite, high risk, high reward. There's going to be some spots where he's able to connect and basically end the game with it, but getting a Jite on a creature against a sea of Abrupt Decays and other removal spells quite challenging, so I can see Rudy taking it or leaving it.
Well, these players are going to shuffle up here for game number 2, as you said, settle in for what's likely going to be a longer game. And while they do take a look at their sideboards, we will talk about Season 1 here of the Open Series. We're in Indianapolis right now. Of course, Columbus was won by Joe Lissette with White Blue Heroic. Philadelphia won by Stephen Darrell Ayers with Teamer Delver with those Curd Apes. Never forget those Curd Apes. And then Washington, D.C. won by Gerard Fabiano with his Sultai control deck. Not sure who's going to win Indianapolis, but wouldn't be surprised if it's one of these 2 players.
Yeah, I mean, both players in a great shot. Again, the winner of this absolutely locked up for top 8. And yeah, Rudy, I think, with a loss potentially still alive, but we'll see.
After that, we're going to take a weekend off for regionals, and then we're going to go to Houston for the first time on the Open Series.
Yeah, surprisingly, we have not done this venue yet. Houston, America's, I believe, 4th largest city, and we're coming there for the first time.
After that, we'll go to L.A., quick stop in Baltimore for our first modern Open Series event, our Standard Grand Prix in Miami. Definitely head over to StarCityGames.com for more information about that fantastic event. We'll wrap it up in Dallas, and then our Season 1 Invitational in Richmond. You and me, Matthias Hunt, Standard Legacy, the formats of the Invitational, and then a large Standard Open Series event as well. Should be a lot of fun, March 27th through the 29th. Season 1 is going to be over before you know it.
And Richmond, I have not been to for an SCG event either, even though we go to Richmond fairly frequently.
Well, we will see you there because you have to come.
Because I'm contractually obligated, yes.
That's correct. So
you'll see me there.
We'll see you there, whether you like it or not. Probably see both these guys there, too.
Oh, yeah. Short drive. Rudy now living in the Baltimore area. And Jim out on Long Island, but still totally manageable drive.
No, Jim was willing to come here and Columbus. I imagine he's willing to go on down to Richmond, too, to do battle.
Is there anyone still trying to find their seat?
It's very rare that you see the Jets jersey. But you know what Jim is saying right now? He's saying, hey, big football game, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
I care about my team, the Jets, who are terrible.
I both care about football and don't care about you.
Yes.
It's a great statement.
That's really what that is.
Great statement.
You may begin.
And I can appreciate that. The Jets are my favorite non-Cleveland team.
Any particular reason?
When I was growing up, I was a big fan of Boomer Esiason
Okay.
because Boomer's a cool name.
Boomer is a cool name. When you're a kid, it's one of those things like, how do I get a name like Boomer?
Yeah. I want a cool name. I hate my name.
Yeah.
I still hate my name. Can we change that to Boomer Phillips? You start calling me Boomer?
No.
Okay. Just thought I'd ask.
You get changed legally, and I will.
Well, that's just not going to happen.
Right. So I'm not meeting you halfway.
Just for one show. Come on.
Yeah.
One round of one show. Welcome back. Boomer. I can't even do it. Boomer Phillips. I can't even
Boomer
do
Phillips.
it. That's horrible. That's so bad.
It's not good.
It's really bad. Boomer Phillips and Patrick Sullivan. What would yours be?
I haven't thought about it very
Boomer
much.
Sullivan?
Both just
Both boomers?
Boomer and Boomer in the
Yeah.
booth. Double booms.
Yeah, I like that. Boomer and Boomer could be pretty good. Here's a Delver of Secrets, a Boomer of Secrets. We should just add Boomer to everything. And Central Visions will be suspended to start.
And there you have it, the terms of engagement drawn. Jim, definitely the beatdown deck in the matchup. Rudy, very much the control deck, even though there are some overlapping cards.
Oh, for sure. Now, Jim's Delver didn't flip right away. We got to remember, Jim's the aggressive deck in this matchup. You can just see the difference right here. As he's going to sacrifice a flooded channel. We'll see what land he wants to go get. I imagine Underground Sea. That's what he'll grab to make sure he has all of his colors. And perhaps a Thoughtseize on the way. It's a good start for Jim. Got a threat. There goes the dig through time. Rudy's hand is lands and a dig through time.
Rudy with another speculative keep.
Well, you do draw a card every turn, as they say.
It's true. The implied 9-card opening hand argument.
One of your favorites.
Yes, because I draw 2 cards, and can you mulligan 9 with an Ancestral 2 dig through times plus all of your mana? Answer, probably not.
Here's another Delver of Secrets. Vision's going to take on down. Tarp hit the draw. There's a Tropical Island, just a passing of the turn back.
Yeah, Rudy trying to keep up appearances that he drew action this turn, not deploying the tar pit.
Jim's got a brainstorm to cast on the upkeep because he wants to make sure these Delvers flip now, and I would want to as well. Let's get the beatdowns going. Abrupt Decay, Underground Sea. Among the cards drawn here.
He gets to send a land back, put a spell on top, shuffle away the unwanted land with the Flooded Strand, flip the 2 Delvers against an opponent with nothing but card drawing.
Ponders the reveal. Both Delvers are flipping. Oh, now someone here on Twitter, it's the best part of my job. Great idea here as the Delvers come in. You're going to like this.
Is that sarcasm? It's probably sarcasm.
Dad, come on, trust me.
Okay.
Boomer Phillips and Buddy Sullivan should be the names
Nope.
of the wolf pups on our lapel. I like it.
Buddy?
Yeah, yours can be named Buddy. Mine's named Boomer. Those are good. Those are good dog/wolf names.
I want mine to be called Mittens.
Is that the name? Is that the name of your cat?
No. The name of my cat was, back when I was living with my roommate, Sergeant Whiskers.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Excuse me. Here's a ponder,
You can shorten it to Sarge.
as you probably did.
Yeah, it's casual.
Yeah. You guys have a good relationship.
We
so.
did. Well, we did. Then I moved out.
Spell Pierce and Abrupt Decay among the cards Jim's looking at here. Jim's going to keep it. Take a Spell Pierce. Pass the turn back over to Rudy, who draws a Force of Will.
And Jim, not deploying the Deathrite Shaman here, knows that Toxic Deluge is a card. He saw it last game
Yep.
through a Charlotte's Agent reveal. He's way ahead on the board. No reason to risk it.
Gonna put Briksza down to 7. Now he'll deploy the Deathrite because it'll be lethal. And now with the Force of Will, Rudy goes down to 6, so these Delvers are still lethal.
Yeah, it's still fine.
Yep.
It's all the same.
Wasteland the draw, another land there for Rudy, and a quick concession of the game. So Jim Davis does defeat Rudy Briksza in that game, which means we're going to play a third one here.
Yep, that's the first time that we've really seen Rudy burned by one of those speculative keeps. He's kept some, one-liners on the play, some hands that were light on action. That's really the first time we've seen him just not draw out of it and get buried pretty quickly.
Some unrelenting beatdowns there from Delver Secrets, but we have seen games like that before.
But Jim had a great opening hand. 2 Delvers, the ability to flip them pretty quickly, some disruption. Pretty much perfect.
Well, we talked about Season 1. We'll talk about Season 2 now. A much shorter season on the Open Series, but some solid events nonetheless. We'll kick things off in Syracuse. We'll go to Providence after that. A Standard Open in Cleveland, my hometown, so that should be a lot of fun to go to. And now the place that I currently call home in Seattle, Washington, will be a Standard Open there. You and Matthias will do the honors and probably mock me while I play a match on camera.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hopefully you don't get several draws in the Open like you did last time.
Little rusty. Don't appreciate that. Got to dust it off a little bit. Courser of Crew Fix. It's kind of complicated when you've never played with it before.
You have watched so many Courser crew fixes. I mean, it's not exactly playtesting, but it's pretty close.
It's like kind of like playtesting, but when you're there in the game at the table and you haven't done it before, it's kind of unfamiliar territory. Watching and doing, it's like I watch a lot of basketball, but I am terrible at basketball.
Yeah, but you don't have a background playing basketball. It's different. You've played Magic. You have a Pro Tour top 8.
Let's take a look at the next slide. Let's take a look at the next slide. I'm tired of you making sense. Matthias and I are going to go to Dallas after that, and then we'll go to Worcester, and then we'll have a Columbus Invitational Modern Standard with a Modern Open Series event. You, me, and Matthias.
Origins Game Fair, too. Big show in Columbus.
Sweet convention.
Yep.
Sweet convention. Your argument is sound. I, in theory, do have a background in Magic.
Right.
So perhaps I should be better.
As a player with a Pro Tour top 8 and several Grand Prix top 8s and a professional Magic commentator, I don't think the analogy to your lack of basketball experience is appropriate. As we cut back to the match. Yeah. Just bringing the heat this weekend.
That's all right. That's all right. I can take it. I can take it. And one of these days, I'm going to start dishing it out. I don't know when. One of these days, when you're under attack here in the booth for me verbally, don't say,
oh, no, I have it coming.
you didn't expect this coming. Okay?
I anticipate every round, every match, every game is going to be finally where you hit your breaking point. And you just unload. We got to get the bleep box ready. We got to abruptly cut to break. I'm ready. I'm not surprised. It'll happen one day.
I keep it all inside. I go home, I make notes.
Really healthy.
I have a journal.
Really healthy.
I have a journal that I just write down what rounds you made fun of me and what you said. I keep it here. People don't forget.
I have a lot of resentment directed towards my broadcast partner that I have to hang out with 40 weekends out of the year, but I just keep it inside. That's the way I cope.
That's what I do. That and a bottle of wine.
Yep.
That's all it takes for me.
It's not a bad start.
Rudy Briksza going to be on the play here for game number 3. We'll see if both players are able to keep these hands. It appears that Twitter is a fan of Sergeant Whiskers, by the way.
He's adorable, but not particularly friendly.
Does he bite, claw, scratch?
No, he's not violent.
How isn't he friendly then?
He likes to just kind of knock things over, not hang out with people very much. But I love him.
Likes to just do his own thing.
Yeah, exactly. He's just doing his own thing.
That's fine. Jim giving this the long look.
It's very creature heavy. I mean, he's got no action except for some creatures. A lot of lands. Type of hand that can fall behind against a variety of things.
He'll keep it. Briksza going to start off with a creeping tar pit. Davis draws a scalding tarn for the turn. Does have a lot of lands over there, it seems.
Yeah.
Has a Delver to start things off with.
He's got a nice curve too here. He's going to go and try to give Rudy a taste of his own medicine, I suppose.
Yeah, how'd you like it game 1?
Which I can appreciate. His hand is pretty poor against Baleful Strix, so I can understand not wanting to just play something on turn 1 and have Rudy get to curve out. This is a man looking for land number 2, I think.
Found a Delta. And a Deathrite. We have a winner.
I don't know if it was correct for Tipton Wasteland there on turn 1 on the draw, but I do appreciate giving Rudy a taste of his own medicine.
I love it. You got to learn them sometimes.
Yeah. You think you're the only one that can throw sand into someone's face? I can do that too.
See what Briksza's going to put together this turn. It's an abrupt decay to get Deathrite Shaman off the board.
It's actually pretty good for Jim because his hand's so mana heavy that I don't really think he's looking for the Deathrite Shaman. It's not the key piece of this hand.
Yeah, one could say 2 mana heavy now.
Yep.
Just picked up another land for the turn. I'd see Davis just go the double Delver route. Does have a Deathrite he can play too. Here's a Delver. Pass a turn. Go back Briksza's way, dig through time to draw.
Not an ideal draw given the mana situation, but he's pretty close.
Top card for Delver? Nope. Ugh, another land. Wow.
And now we are really looking at Brainstorm or Bust here.
Yeah,
Jim's just not going to have enough to play with.
And he needs one like right now. In for one. This could get interesting because Jim can play an interesting game here. He has a handful of lands in a Delver Secrets. Patrick, if you're Jim here, do you play land this turn?
I play one land, but not beyond this.
Okay.
I think that in the event that he draws Ponder or Brainstorm, he needs to leave himself enough mana that he can do a bunch of stuff in one turn.
Okay.
So I understand that you want to bluff to show a hand with a lot of action, but I think he needs at least one more land in play to maximize what happens in the event he draws a cantrip.
The draw here for Briksza is another copy of Dig Through Time. Here's a Deathrite Shaman. Let's see if these Delvers are flipped. Now Jim can, of course, stack it. He does have a Flooded Strand in play, and that's what the doctor ordered.
That was the card. And it almost feels like it had to be this turn.
Yeah.
But now, Jim with a lot to play with.
And he's going to start off with a Brainstorm.
There's
So
some
3 cards coming.
There's some times where this card looks like Ancestral Recall, and this is going to be one of those times.
Yeah, Brainstorm, Spell Pierce, and a land. The land and the Spell Pierce aren't that exciting. Actually, Spell Pierce is probably better than I'm giving credit for, given that Rudy is stuck on 2 lands and a Deathrite Shaman. But 2 lands are going away.
Rudy's trying to play to Liliana the Veil.
Yep.
Spell Pierce is going to be great this game. Jim doesn't know that, but he can suspect that Rudy's on some expensive spells given the nature of his deck.
Jim going to sacrifice his Flooded Strand now, perhaps get ready for another Brainstorm. If you didn't think Brainstorm was the best card in Legacy, just further proof that it is. Easily the best draw in Jim's deck there. Not a creature like Tarmogoyf, not a discard spell like Thoughtseize. Brainstorm, far and away the best draw
Yes.
there. Here's Brainstorm again. Three cards coming. A Ponder, a Thoughtseize. Among the cards that have been found here.
And it's almost like Jim was never flooding out. His
Yep.
hand is now flush with action.
So good that he might actually be putting a Ponder back.
And this is why I like Jim playing the land last turn.
Sure.
In the event that he drew a cantrip, now he's able to do all of this.
Yeah, and cast Thoughtseize. You see the grip here for Briksza. 2 Lilianas, 2 Dig Through Times, and a Shardless Agent. And if I'm Jim, I think I have interest in the Shardless Agent.
I think so too. I think the worst thing for Jim to have happen here is Shardless Agent into Abrupt Decay.
Yep, that's the
Something
same thing
he
I'm
can't
thinking.
counter. He has a Spell Pierce to check the Liliana. He gets a hit for 6 this turn, 6 next turn. Has a True Name Nemesis, so he can swallow 1 Edict from a Liliana 2 turns down the road.
Yeah, Shardless Agent's going to bite the dust. In for 6. Briksza's going to go down to 10. Rudy will draw. It's a copy of Umezawa's Jite. Deathrite Shaman going to take a land out. There's an attempt at Liliana. Jim can't sacrifice his Flooded Strand fast enough because he's got the Spell Pierce at the ready. And Davis's last card in hand is a very powerful one in this matchup in True Name Nemesis. Davis will untap. It's time to take a draw step here. Picks up a Flooded Strand. In for 6, put Briksza down to 4. See if he wants to deploy True Name or not. He does. I'll kick it back Rudy's way. Rudy will draw a card, copy of Force Will, and that is going to do it. Jim Davis going to win this match here over Rudy Briksza. 2 games to 1. Sultai Devil will take care of Charlotte Sultai. For Davis, he is 12-2. He can draw next round. He is into the top 8. What a run.
Yeah, congratulations to him. Rudy now with a loss, probably looking at a winning in next round. Don't think a draw is going to do it. I don't think a loss is going to do it either.
Big, big, big win there for Jim Davis.